We all today want to do things differently, so we began with not the ABCs, but the 3 C's, and that would be connect, collaborate, and communicate. And what better way than to start with a wonderful panel of business gentlemen over here, and it was fun reading their bios to see where they are and where they indeed went to school. So on the far end, Benjamin Bordelon, Chief Operating Officer and Executive Vice President for Bollinger Shipyards in Lockport, Louisiana. And Ben graduated from LSU in 1996 with a BS in Business. He played varsity football at LSU, captain of the team. My husband knew this, and I confess I didn't know this. He was with the San Diego Chargers. That says something about my television watching. We are so pleased to have him. He's the son of Charlotte Bollinger on the board of Regents. And for me, it was interesting to try and figure out whether he and Stephen Morey knew one another in college at LSU. So we'll have to ask them that question as we go along. Next to him is the president of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, Stephen Wagasback. Lobby represents thousands of Louisiana businesses. We are very familiar with it, of course, and he was previously special counsel for Jones Walker, a Louisiana law firm. So he served as chief of staff, deputy chief of staff, general counsel for Governor Bobby Jindal. He holds a bachelor's degree in mass comm from LSU and a law degree from Catholic University. And we were discussing at the table, I know so many lawyers who end up doing other things. So that, indeed, maybe they didn't have that passion for certain things. Kurt Isink, the man with the best accent in Louisiana. I love having him on a panel. He's so great to talk. He is the executive director of Louisiana's Workforce Commission, and he has been doing that for some time. He was the director of marketing for the Louisiana Healthcare Review. Prior to that, he was the city editor of the Advocate newspaper in Baton Rouge. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in journalism from Louisiana State University. And finally, I'm flipping them. He's on the end here. Next to him, Stephen Morey, aforementioned, appointed Secretary of the Louisiana Economic Development, LED, by Governor Bobby Jindal. And Stephen is an enthusiastic speaker who is telling us all that jobs are coming. The boom is coming to Louisiana, and that we should be prepared for it. Prior to his appointment at LED, he served as president and chief executive officer of the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. He also, of course, was a management consultant with McKinsey & Company. And Stephen earned a BS in mechanical engineering from LSU around the same time as our prior panelist, and an MBA from Harvard Business School. So I'm going to begin by saying, gentlemen, we heard an awful lot of interesting things from our guest speaker this morning. Was there anything that you heard that was a surprise to you or that you want to take away? Kurt, what about you?
Thanks, Beth, and good morning, everybody. Not really a surprise because I've read A Coming Jobs War a couple of times. It's a fantastic book. A couple of years ago at Dr. Purcell's recommendation initially, and there are some things in there that we've taken to heart in our agency. We're really working toward those to increase our engagement levels of our own staff so that we can do things in a more responsive and customer-focused way. But the things that I would take away are really the need for alignment of education and training with workforce demand, which is what we've been working on for a few years now. And as part of that, continuous realignment, because as the industry mix and the volume of demand changes in the state, we have to continually repurpose our resources to meet that demand today and into the future as best as we can predict it. We've got to make sure that college does lead to a good job, because good jobs require college, something beyond high school. You can't get one without the other in anything near the numbers that most people can take some assurance that they have a good future. So we work very hard on that alignment piece, and really from K through 20 and beyond. But the key for me, though, I think, is that a kid in high school, if not middle school, has to be engaged enough to commit to doing something beyond high school to improve their education and get some sort of credential that has value in the marketplace. And helping them, I think what I really took to heart is that kids have to understand in high school what those career pathways are and what they're good at and what they can drive toward. And I think if we put good information in their hands at the time that they make decisions, then they'll follow those pathways in high numbers.
So, Stephen, were you surprised that 30% we lead the nation in engaged workers?
No, I'm excuse me. I'm actually also reading The Coming Jobs War, so I was familiar with many of the principles shared and agree strongly with it. I think particularly the notion of engagement. I think in Louisiana, historically, our challenge has been a little bit more elemental in that it's pretty hard to be engaged in a good job if you don't have a good job. And so the biggest opportunity I think that we have as a state is to be able to really embrace the goal of being one of the great growth states of America, to be one of the fastest growing states in the country from a job growth perspective, and so many of the other things that we want to accomplish, whether it's engagement of people in their jobs, population growth, growth in tax revenues to fund transportation infrastructure, higher education, reduction in poverty, all go back to that core idea of being a growth state, of creating new jobs at a faster rate than the South and the U.S. overall. The one other thing I would strongly agree with that was suggested in the presentation is the importance of entrepreneurship. And I think Louisiana historically, unfortunately because of the very incredible geographic assets of our state, too often people have been able to make a good living because of that. And I think as a result, we haven't had the level of entrepreneurial energy that we've needed compared to many other states around the country.
So, Mr. Wagsback, were you? It was interesting to see there was a disconnect between business people not being as pleased, I guess, with the output from higher ed as the higher ed people thought they should be. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, that's accurate for what we're hearing out there. When we go around and talk to, well, first I have to say one thing. He's a dead ringer for Stephen Colbert. And, and every time I was listening to him, I was very engaged, and I kept waiting for the punchline and everything he said. So I thought it was a fantastic discussion. But we talk to our members. What we hear a lot are when they look for the workers they're trying to find, they're worried about basic education and technical skills. So I was very glad he talked about K-12. I think that's an important piece of it. But we also hear a lot of what they call soft skills, and what he was basically talking about as far as engaging and finding what you're passionate about and sending kids into prepared to that. That is one of the largest challenges our members face. 90% of the members that we've polled have said that soft skills are just as important as technical or basic education skills on what they're looking for in the void they're seeing today. And so I think that engagement piece is a big piece of it, because if the students are coming out of our education systems excited about what the career path is for that, how they meet that, I think that'll go a long way towards meeting that demand. So what I took away was, I'm glad that we're talking about higher ed today, but I'm glad that he brought up K-12 and engagement as a piece for success in higher ed, because I don't think you can have just this one little siloed approach to improving higher ed. It has got to be almost a continuum of care that we talk about in healthcare a lot. It's got to be the same thing with workforce, K-12 all the way through post-secondary.
Well, Ben, you're working already with higher ed, aren't you, at Bollinger Shipyard? You're doing some activities, is that right?
Yes, we're doing a lot of different activities, but I think the one you're referencing is at Nichols. We took businesses, we took a proactive approach in meeting with Nichols State, and we focused and did a maritime management program, and really giving credit to the school, because this has been tried. I think everybody has heard this, I guess, blueprint, if you want to call it that. And a lot of time it's failed, but we took an approach of saying, let us write the curriculum. We brought it in as part of the business school itself. We didn't create a minor or anything else. It's a focus where the kid's going to get 15 hours or at a minimum of 15, probably 18. But we wrote the curriculum, but the biggest thing is that any kid that's involved in it, we've offered internships to, which has really been great for us. At Bollinger's, we have 4 of them. 3 are graduating in May, and I'm hiring all of them. So they all have jobs coming out. So having, I think, those kind of programs where we actually writing the curriculum has definitely created an excitement, I think, in the business school. And we're hoping to have some momentum, so we are excited about that.
So that's an interesting concept. The business itself is working with the college, in this instance, to write the curriculum for what they need. What do you think about what should be the role of business? Should they just expect to have fully educated workers coming in, or should the businesses have some role in writing curriculum? What do you think, Kurt?
I think that if I was operating a business, any kind of business, and I look at this with my department too, if I wanted to give myself the best odds of being successful, I would attack every element of the supply chain of my workers, every piece that feeds into that. So that means connecting to and with the institutions that prepare people for those jobs. And I would analyze where my workforce comes from. What is the step that's particularly in the jobs in which I have the most trouble finding people, for which I have the most trouble finding people? Where do people who take those jobs come from? And I would go see what's happening with that part of my supply and see if I can't expand that. So I absolutely think that it's in business and industry's best interest to connect with higher education. But I think to make that successful, I think for many businesses, and we've had discussions around this with higher ed leaders, that I think it's important for higher education to reach out to the business community too, to let them know what's possible and that they're eager to meet demand and to provide really the best pathway for their students and the best long-term success and relevance for their institutions.
Interesting concept, starting doing your work in the real world as a freshman as opposed toward the end of your academic career. Anybody want to react to that?
Well, I would just say I think
Yeah.
it starts even earlier than that, and I'll give you an example just up the road here. If you go to the ABC-run welding facility on Highland Road, what's happening right now is there are high school students being bused there for some career courses there. And when you go out and talk to those kids, these are 15, 16-year-old kids, and you ask them, why are you here? Are you here trying to just, get out of school for a little bit of a day? And what they say, no, I know exactly why I'm here. If I work hard for about a year and a half, I can get to a level 5. I get to a level 5, here are the 3 companies hiring. If I go to one of those companies, here's the path for the 2, 4, 6 years after that. They get it. And I think the way students are today, where they're so aware to the world so much earlier because of technology and all those things, you have to go communicate to them as to what options are there, what courses, what are the feedstock steps you have to take to qualify for that. They're going to get it and wrap their head around it and be more engaged and excited about that curriculum. You really can't wait until they're a junior or senior because, they're online. I mean, they've already made their minds up. You've lost them by that point. It's too late. So I would say even getting down that high school level, and it's a pressure on industry to get there and explain some of the benefits and opportunities that are waiting for them. And a lot of times, it's not rote memorization of a certain technical course. It's fundamental thinking skills that they need to come and succeed in the jobs in their area.
But Stephen, aren't there some jobs now, I look out at what people are doing, creating new jobs, that we can't even envision? We in academia say, oh, I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, and yet there are these jobs now that are brand new. Is that a challenge?
Well, I think it's a challenge as well as an opportunity. I think, first of all, I strongly agree that we need a bigger focus on apprenticeship opportunities in Louisiana. I think that's something that most businesses in Louisiana are not making full use of, that would really help them to be more successful with their overall talent recruitment, retention, and development program. But absolutely, as you look at the nature of work in the world today, not just in Louisiana, there's no question that the middle class in the United States increasingly is under threat from technology, from globalization, and so forth. And really what is going to make, I think, individual workers, employees successful in their career in the future is not so much a particular skill set on the front end in terms of a particular industry sector, what have you, but truly the ability to learn. The ability to learn, the ability to communicate well with people, the ability to work well in teams, the ability to work with different types of people from around the world. Those core capabilities will really give someone the ability to be successful not only in their intended career, but as the industries in which they are involved change over time.
Ben, when you look at your workers, if you get all of these contracts that are coming up, do you worry? Do you just think, where am I going to find all these workers? What's your...
Yes, it's a big concern. First of all, I want to clarify, I speak for myself, not my mom. We usually align, but sometimes I don't say it as eloquently as she does. So, yes, it is a big concern for us. We're a company of 2,500 to 3,000 employees, and as my mom mentioned, if we potentially get this new contract, we can really double the size of our business. Roughly 70% of our employees are not college educated. So do the math, it's pretty easy. I need a lot of high-skilled workers, period.